evening, Pittsburgh sports fans. Welcome to the Pittsburgh Sports Desk. We are back. Hope everybody had a wonderful holiday. We're back and we're ready to roll here. Lots to talk about tonight. What do you think, Trace? How you doing tonight? How was your holiday?
Holiday was actually not bad. Pretty slow. The way most people want it to be, right? Nothing major went on.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I didn't have much going on either. Everything was pretty chill and not a lot going on. So that's kind of the way I like it. But all right, so Trace, got a lot to talk about. Pittsburgh Steelers defeated the Baltimore Ravens 26-24. What a nail biter! A game that I said before was a playoff game. I mean, it was obviously win and you're in, lose and you're out, and you have to ponder that for the offseason. Came down to the final play. Ravens rookie kicker misses the 44-yarder. I said in a short, I did a short for our channel for Steel City Sunday. I said, didn't that kind of take you back to when Vanderjack missed it in the 2005 divisional game against the Colts?
Exactly what it takes you back to.
Yeah, that was a 46-yarder, I believe, that he missed wide right. This was a 44-yarder that he missed wide right as time expired.
But also remember too, Billy, our kicker missed one earlier in the game the same way. So something about that field had that ball going right on those kickers.
Yeah. It was a back and forth contest, Trace. I mean, I pretty much knew going into the game that it was going to be that way. I knew it was not going to be an easy game, and I mean, when you look at it, if he makes that 44-yarder, we're talking about, Harbaugh wouldn't have been fired. He would have survived, another week, and B, we wouldn't be talking about the Steelers moving on and facing the Houston Texans. What did you think about that game? I mean, first half, Baltimore jumped out to a 10-0 lead. Lamar had that touchdown pass to Devontae Walker, and then got a field goal. We responded with a field goal we ended up in the third quarter. We ended up tying the game 10-10. What did you think? What did you think when they jumped out to a 10-0 lead? Were you a little bit afraid? Were you a little bit scared? What did you think?
No, not afraid, not scared. Just didn't understand how they were getting open and what was the difference that Henry was able to turn corners and see a seam, and how was that guy able to get open? And I think they made some nice adjustments from there and made it a lot more difficult for them. But that also made us really susceptible to the long ball, which burned us in third quarter, fourth quarter there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, how about that? I mean, we're definitely blown coverage on that. I mean, that was just terrible. Twice it happened to you. The last time, I mean, Lamar, it was a meeting it was a meeting at the quarterback, and how he squeezed out of that one, I'll never know. And then, he kind of, he set his feet, was kind of poised, motion for him to run a little bit farther and hit him with a touchdown pass. And you're just like, oh God, here we go. Looking at Lamar's numbers, 11 for 18, 238 yards, 3 TDs, 1 interception, sacked 3 times. I mean, he only rushed 9 yards. He's hurt. I mean, we knew he was banged up. We all heard he was like 70% was what they were saying. He's had a litany of injuries this year, everything from ankle to calf to hamstring. Even I heard he had a toe issue as well at one point this year. So he had a lot of injuries this year. Hobbled Lamar Jackson. I said it going into this game. I was almost more comfortable him starting than Tyler Huntley.
How old is Lamar now, Billy? Just out of curiosity.
I think he's 28, 29.
Well, and just From when you and I were growing up, if I recall, about that age is when running backs wheels start to fall off, right?
Yeah.
That
Yeah, Derrick
could be.
Henry.
I'm just throwing
Derrick
that out there.
Yeah.
But
Well, yeah, I mean, eventually these mobile quarterbacks and these quarterbacks that run, eventually they have a shelf life. They're not able to do that. They're not able to put that kind of yardage up for a prolonged period of time. We saw it. He was going into this season, he was averaging 63 yards a game. That dipped to like 26, is what I heard his average was the last time. So, that dipped, a pretty good margin. Um, but Zay Flowers had a good game, 2
oh yeah,
touchdowns. Devontae Walker, I thought, had a good game. Derrick Henry, 126 yards. I mean, he had a good game. He bludgeoned us.
that's
We
after
were
that first run was called back, right?
right. We were lucky to
Good
win that
enough.
game. We were lucky to win that game, and we really were. I mean, it was we were lucky to get the job done. Looking at what the Steelers did, looking at what Aaron Rodgers, 31 for 47, 294 yards, 1 touchdown, sacked a couple times. Jalen Warren, 14 carries, 66 yards. How about Aaron Rodgers at that 20-yard scramble?
It's kind of fun to watch, huh?
Yeah, Gainwell. I expect. I mean, he had a TD. I was expecting a little bit more out of him yardage wise. But overall, Trace, I thought it was, I thought it was a very entertaining game. And it was a game that, like I said, come down to it. Uh,
Well, I mean, I think that those guys did well, but I think some of the reasons they're able to do well though was like Cam Hayward. I thought was just out of his mind
yeah,
for the game. For some of those plays, right?
yeah,
Zach Frazier had an extremely good game,
yeah,
right? I just
yeah,
think that how about the one point I want to make is so Cam, even on offense, he's up there
yeah,
helping little Hayward, right? Am
right.
I the only one that sees that and thinks, remember the 1980s movie Twins with Schwarzenegger and DeVito? When they go out there, I'm like, oh, it's Vincent and Jules. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. No, yeah,
I thought
yeah,
Herbig was tough.
yeah. I
Actually, I
thought
just thought
Herbig had a
the
good game.
trenches collectively were really good. I can't
Yeah,
remember number 50's name, and I don't mean to do that to him, but there's so many number 50s we've had recently that I thought he played a really good game down in those trenches, especially with King Henry in there.
yeah. I mean, it was a good. It was like I said, it was a very entertaining game. But unfortunately, Malik Harrison is number 50. Yeah. Yeah, he had a good game too.
Harrison,
He's a
thank
hitter.
you.
He's a hitter. He's a hitter. I remember there was that it was like a wheel route, and he laid somebody out on that one. I remember that one. I forget who it was. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree. I thought Cameron Hayward had a great game. I thought Keanu Benton had a good game as well. He
Benton
had a
was solid. I do
yeah.
think he was
Even
solid.
Ramsey.
Somehow
Even,
they
even
took
Ramsey.
I didn't think Ramsey had a good game. He only messed up on that one where he was just up too tight and just let that guy get right behind him.
Yeah.
I just think it slipped him as he looked in the backfield real quick or something to that effect. I think they schemed Harmon out, but I think Hayward blew right through it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, when you look at it, fourth quarter, the two teams combined for 27 points in the final 8 minutes and 42 seconds of the game. Lamar had that connection with Zay Flowers, 2 long touchdown passes, 50 and 64 yards to retake the lead a couple times. Aaron Rodgers, I thought had he led a couple scoring drives, including that 26-yarder game winning to Calvin Austin with only 55 seconds left. That was clutch. They
Yeah.
needed that. We got a comment here. What's up? We got Daniel Berry chiming in. What's up, Daniel?
What's up, Daniel?
Um, yeah, and the missed extra point by Chris Boswell. Wow, I just was like, oh my God, you got to be kidding me. I'm thinking, oh God, here we go. They're going to march down the field and kick a field goal, and that's going to be the end of it. They advanced to the 24-yard line. Here's another thing I want to make. I thought Harbaugh kind of mismanaged that last drive. They could have gotten a little bit closer. I think. They
Well,
if they would have kind of like
definitely. Think
yeah
about when you say that. Think about who's in the backfield.
right.
Right, go get a
Yeah,
couple more yards.
I just thought, I thought maybe they had it. I thought if they would have managed the clock a little bit better, I thought that they would have had another play. They would have gotten closer. They definitely could have gotten closer. I just they ran it down. He stood by the ref and took the timeout with 2 seconds left. 44-yarder, but honestly, he could have probably made that. That could have been inside 30 if he would have. If they would have, because they were driving. I mean, they were moving the ball, and they could have gotten a little bit more yardage. I thought. What do you think? I mean, is that? What's your? Let's move on. I guess to the Texans hosting the Houston Texans in the AFC wild card Monday night, 8:15 kickoff. First playoff meeting between the two teams. It's going to be tough. I think it's going to be it's going to be a low scoring, grinded out game, Trace. What do you think?
I agree with you, but I want to offer my displeasure with these 8 o'clock games. Like I'm not going to watch it until the next day. Like I dislike this.
Yeah.
I got the recorded darn thing. I do think that their defense is going to be very wow. It's going to be hard for us to get anything done here. We're going to earn our yards.
Well, yeah. I mean, that defense is tough. They're violent. They get after it. But I'll tell you what, though, they're used to playing on that turf, and so is that offense. That offense doesn't really scare me too much. But everything's going to slow down for them playing on that Acrisure turf. And I was looking at kickoff. I think it's going to be in the mid-30s. They were saying. So, I don't know. I listen. I think that this could be. I think that this is probably the Steelers' best playoff matchup that they could have gotten in the first round. I mean, what do you?
I'm not disagreeing there. That's
yeah.
I think that is a fact, Jack.
Yeah. Slight road favorites. They enter this game, but that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. Over under set at 39.5 points. I mean, they're a 12-5 team, which is the start that they had this season is pretty surprising that they were able to grind out 12 wins. But I kept saying, I remember us on our Thursday show. I kept saying, man, this team look out for this team. They're going to get going. They're going to figure it out, and they're going to go on a run here. And sure enough, that's what happened. Top tier defense Houston has. It's going to challenge the Steelers, no doubt. Even with DK Metcalf coming back off suspension, I think Aaron Rodgers having the playoff experience that he has, being in the league 21 years and the success that he's had, could be a factor. What do you think?
I think that he makes really good decisions for us. He's been a huge factor that's got us even in positions. Like even the week before, if one of those balls are caught, we win that game against the Browns, and then you don't even have to play against the Ravens, right? I just think he makes the correct call. Like that play to Austin, he in the huddle, they even come out and said, "What do you want to do?" And somebody said, "Just go get him." Right? And he looked at Austin and said, "All right, man, hitch and go." That's how that play came about. Like that's Aaron Rodgers doing that. So I think he is definitely a variable that is a positive glide path for us.
Yeah. Just to take a step back here and he had some issues with communication with that helmet.
Yeah, he had switched helmets. You see that one?
It was pissing him off.
Pissed.
Yeah.
He was mad.
Yeah. Texans have a good defensive line. Will Anderson Jr., Daniil Hunter, major strength on that defense. It's just going to be a battle of wills, I think, Trace. It's going to be, it's going to be that offense it's going to be Steelers offense versus Texans defense. Steelers defense versus Texan offense. I think, having TJ Watt back, I thought TJ Watt, he had that interception. He did have some, I thought he played a pretty good game. What did you think?
I think Nick Herbig is our disruptor, and he should be on the field every play.
I agree with that too. Right? That's a good point as well. I think you got to pressure the Texans. Um, you know, they have a little bit of a problem with turnovers, protecting the football. It's going to be tough kicking conditions. As we know, it will be. I mean, it has been.
Tough catching conditions too, right? So to your point, the running backs holding the ball, it's going to be different for them. But catching the ball, right? Even some of the other games, I saw some guys' ball just went right through their hands because of these conditions.
Yeah. 3.5-point favorite as of now. I don't know. They're, a lot of the prediction models kind of lean towards the Texans, covering even. But I don't know. I think the Steelers, they're entering relatively healthy. You're getting DK Metcalf back. You're getting another, you're getting even more healthier TJ Watt back. Jalen Ramsey was banged up a little bit. He said he's going to be ready to play. Looking at some injuries here, I was just glancing here at what we got injury wise. The Texans have some. They've got Trent Brown, who's questionable, an offensive tackle with an ankle. Kamari Lassiter, he's questionable. He's a cornerback with an ankle injury as well. Jawar Jordan, the running back, he's got an ankle injury. Boy, they've got a lot of ankles. They've got a lot of ankle injuries. They were saying about Ramsey. He's good to go. They were saying he had that minor injury in I think week 18, but they said he's fine. He's gonna be all right. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I have a good feeling about this game. I really do. I'm not. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I think you got to worry about that defense a little bit, but I don't know. I think this is like I said. I think this is the most ideal matchup in the first round that the Steelers could get, and I really believe that. I think this is a winnable game. I definitely think this is a winnable game.
If we win it, though, I think it's going to be in the same type of fashion that we just won this last game in.
I agree. This may come down to, comes down to whoever has the last possession. And, I'm looking for big things. I'm looking for the defense to really turn out and create some turnovers and, maybe even some points off of those turnovers.
You know who we're really missing at this time of year right now, though, that I'm so disappointed we don't get to see in action is Washington.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I mean, he's a big target, and you definitely could use him against this defense. This is like I said, it's a big, tough defense. It's a violent defense, and a guy like that could could kind of stifle them a little bit. Relatively, I mean, he's been he's been hard to bring down in open field. We've seen that this year. Unfortunately, we don't have him, and it's but I think what you kind of do what you did in that you take kind of not saying you replicate what you did against the Ravens because it come down to the wire. It come down to the wire. But I think you try to I think you try to get Freiermuth involved in this. I would really go tight end heavy in this. I would try to just really I would try to spread the ball around and do as much as you can from that standpoint, and just hope that you can, get yourself in red zone situations where you can capitalize on some points. But other than that, I'm not real concerned about the Texans offense. They're decent, don't get me wrong, but nothing really scares me too much. Their defense is what scares me. So.
Well, when you say tight end heavy, for whatever reason, when he throws to Jonnu Smith, he seems to overthrow Jonnu Smith, and I think it's because Jonnu is not exactly as deep as he's supposed to be whenever he's wide open.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we know that there's been some issues, from behind the scenes. We've heard that there's been some issues with Aaron Rodgers and Jonnu Smith. Aaron Rodgers has had some issues with how he runs routes, from what we're hearing. So I don't know. Hopefully that's
What's that? Not the game for the Browns game where Johnny starts going in motion and Aaron turns around and says, "What are you doing?" He just
yeah,
screamed, "What are you doing?"
right. Well, I mean, he's. I mean, I've seen it all season. The confidence level just isn't there. The confidence level just isn't there, and it's been puzzling to me because you know he got 88 receptions last year in Miami with Tua throwing it to him. So I don't know. It's just it's a different type
Well,
of offense, and I
when you just make it up the whole time, I guess you can hide it, right?
correct. And when Aaron Rodgers prides himself on his receivers running, you know, exact precise routes, and I think maybe it was more kind of backyard football when he was on the Miami team. It was just kind of like and Tua was just kind of like, hey, get open and I'll throw it to you. You know what I'm saying? Get open and I'll throw it to you, and we'll go from there. Um, I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But it's going to be interesting to see. Let's. What do you think? Let's pick it. What are you looking at on this game, Trace? You start first.
24-13. I think the Texans.
You think the Texans win?
Yeah, I just think they're going to have too much for us. Their quarterback is young, able to get it done. I know Aaron's got it still a little bit here, but I haven't seen enough of our defense to say that they're going to stop them from putting points on the board.
Well, I don't know. I feel very good about this game. I felt very good about the Ravens game. It come down to the wire.
I didn't feel good about the Ravens game when it came down to the wire.
You did not feel good about the Ravens game.
No, I did not think. I thought Lamar may torch us, and that did not happen.
Right. I'm going to go 21-17 Steelers. I'm going to go 21-17 Steelers. I think they're going to beat this team. I really do. I like I said, this offense doesn't scare me. The defense does. They're violent defense, but I think they find ways to get in a red zone and capitalize on some points. I think it will come down to the wire, but I think the Steelers. I think the Steelers have the advantage, just because, like I said, Texans pride themselves on being a fast team, offensively and defense. They fly on that turf down there in Houston. They're not going to be able to do that up here in Acrisure on the Acrisure turf. We know the kicking game is going to be tough for them. It's going to be tough for Boswell as well. I mean, we saw what happened in that game, but I just think that there's too many slight advantages for the Steelers in this game. I think they pull it off. I'm going to go 21-17. So, all right, let's move on to another topic. I want to talk Tomlin. That's been a big topic of discussion. There's been a lot of speculation. Let's just talk his future. He's under contract through 2027. I think he's coming back. I don't think he's gonna. They've talked about this potential move to television. I'm gonna say this. I don't see that happening. I do not see that happening at all. We got a comment here. 1929, the last time they lost on Monday night. I know, John. Hope you're doing well there, John. Yeah, I know. 1991 was the last time they lost on Monday night. That's a long time ago. What do you say, Trace, about Tomlin?
Well, I mean, he has a worse record than the guy who just got fired in Baltimore. And the only reason I think that the guy got fired in Baltimore was because of that kick was missed. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what it would take to make a change. I don't know if we actually want to change.
Well,
I don't really know.
Who's to say John Harbaugh wasn't going to leave at the end of the season anyways, or they were going to part ways with him? I think if they would have won, obviously, he's not getting fired. I mean, obviously, if Luke makes that kick, he's not getting fired. It buys him another week. Who knows? I mean, he may be when goes and loses a playoff game. They may have decided to win to get rid of him. Then I don't know. Insiders are suggesting that Tomlin's considering his options. Like I said, they've said about television. I don't see him going to TV. I don't think he has the personality to go to TV. and people said that about Cower when Cower went on when he went to TV. People were like, "Oh, he's not going to last." A lot of people thought he would come back, and you know what? He just enjoys himself so much on television, and he just is like, you know what? He's had the opportunity time and time again to come back, and he wants to stay with television. I just don't see Tomlin being a TV guy. I just don't think he has the personality for it. He's his cliches and just the way he talks and addresses himself. And maybe maybe he would be different in that setting. I don't know, but I know one thing: he's not getting fired. I expect him to return in 2026. There's reports about these opportunities, these TV opportunities. There's also reports that he's considering that he needs a break. I really believe he's going to stay. I really believe he's going to stay. And Steelers, we know, value stability. Very unlikely they fire him, and any departure that he would would be something that he would agree to. I don't know. I just, like I said, do you see him as a TV guy, Trace? I don't.
I mean, he doesn't really do anything with press or whatnot, but I don't see him shying away from being paid to just go and talk a little bit.
Yeah. Well, maybe. I just don't see. I don't know. I just don't see him in a broadcasting role. That's just me, just judging what
Do
I've.
you think that
Cower.
with the way he carries himself that he could be like just a part of a panel, or do you think he would have to have like a main stage in that
No,
broadcasting
I think
role to
he would
take
be
it?
a part of a panel. He would be definitely a part of a panel. Hey, Sean Payton did that, right? Sean Payton did he was for a while. He explored broadcasting. He hated it. He was terrible, and he went back. Mike Tomlin, I just don't. I don't. I just really don't see him doing that. I just really don't see him doing that. I just and I agree. You made a point. The way he handles the media, the way he talks down the media, he's very abrasive with media. I just don't. I don't know. And like I said, maybe he would be different in that setting. Maybe he would be a different guy, and you wouldn't see that.
Like, I don't think it'll be as bad as Steve Smith. I haven't seen him on TV too much. That was after he tried to fight two different
Yeah,
dudes in one broadcast.
yeah, agreed. All right, let's talk some NFL news, Trace. A lot of coaching carousels going on here. Obviously, we know that Black Monday came. A little bit. Were you a little bit surprised they fired Harbaugh?
Yes,
I was
but
too. I was.
I, I mean,
I
he's
mean,
had a lot more success than Tomlin recently. He's
yeah,
won more playoff games than Tomlin.
yeah. There's talk about Stefanski possibly being interested in the Baltimore Ravens. I think that would be a great landing spot for Kevin Stefanski. I really do. He knows the division. He's Stefanski's not a bad team or not a bad coach. He would be going to a more stable organization in Baltimore. We know it. I mean, Cleveland's a train wreck. I mean, they really are. Just with the decisions they've made in the last 5 to 6 years. I mean, really, you can go back farther than that. They've been a train wreck. It's been just an absolute. It's every year. It seems like a turnover in personnel, in coaching personnel, front office. It's a nightmare. It really is. So I think that Stefanski. If I was Stefanski, I would consider taking that Baltimore Ravens position, head coach position. I really would. Some other guys. Were you shocked about Pete Carroll getting fired after one season?
I Not really. I mean, he didn't really do anything there.
He didn't. And I'll tell you what, I said that. I really kind of believe, and I said that when he got hired there. I said, here's a guy who's in his 70s, not to say anything, but he was out of football for a while. He stopped, he obviously he stepped down as Seattle's coach. He was in the front office for a while doing stuff like that. But, he took a step back from head coaching was out of it for a little while. And, I don't know. I don't think he came back and transitioned too well with how it is. It's changed a little bit since, since when he was coaching the Seattle Seahawks. I they got off to a really bad start, and it snowballed from there. They never really were able to get anything going this year, and I wasn't too shocked by it. I and I don't know. What do you think? Do you think Carroll goes anywhere? I don't know. I mean,
I don't know that he goes anywhere. I mean, he could. LeBeau did it, right? But I do think that in a better organization, just to your point, cookie cutter from Stefanski to this, I think that would work better for him.
Right. Raheem Morris getting let go in Atlanta. I wasn't too shocked by that. I said at the start of the season, I didn't think that he was going to last, the season, but they decided to part ways with him. And they also parted ways with their GM as well. Atlanta, they've had a lot of issues in recent years. And it all really comes down to coaching in front office, and they've had some they've had some decent players, but there's been a lot of issues with coaching in front office. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. We'll see what happens. So matchups for the wild card have been set. We've got the Rams and Carolina Panthers, got the Packers and Chicago Bears, got the Bills and Jacksonville Jaguars, 49ers and Philadelphia Eagles, Los Angeles Chargers and New England Patriots, and then the Houston Texans and Pittsburgh Steelers. All right, let's switch gears here. Let's talk a little hockey. Let's talk guys on the ice. What are you thinking about this 5-game winning streak?
I don't know if we should be super excited about it yet, but I like that they are winning in January and have us in a position for a wild card, or at least get in and play. And Malkin isn't even back yet. He's just skating now.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I tell you what, when you look at it, you're really getting you're getting a lot of I mean, Sidney Crosby, he's on point. He's on pace right now, I think, to have probably 45 goals at this point in time. I mean, he's already got 24. He's playing his mind. He's playing out of his mind. When you look at it, he leads the team with 47 points. He leads the team in goals. I think Carlson's playing better. He's 28 assists. I like what I'm seeing from the young guys too. Brazil. I'm liking what I'm seeing from Novak.
Yep.
Mantha as well. Mantha's got 14 goals. Even Ben Kindle. Even Ben Kindle is Raquel has played good. I mean, Lazat. I mean, Achari had that sweet goal against the Columbus Blue Jackets. There's a lot of good young youthful players. I know they had a pretty extensive losing streak there for a while. December was not kind to them, but you know what? They're starting to play better hockey. They're on a 5-game winning streak. Tomorrow night they face the New Jersey Devils. I'm liking what I'm seeing. I'm liking what I think Stuart Skinner has finally kind of settled down, and he's kind of come into his own with this team. Shelovs, I think, has played pretty solid as well. What are you seeing in this team, Trace?
I see a lot of chemistry with this team. I see them having fun while they're winning too. It's not like the system is just a complete grind, even though they're working pretty darn hard and they're putting it into it. But I'm just saying that I see them moving around, not really gripping the sticks too hard, and that puck is going behind them goalies, and we seem to be keeping it out of our net a lot more now.
Well, that last game was very fun to watch. I mean, you're down 4-1. You slowly get yourself back in that game.
Chipped away, huh?
Yeah, I mean, you're down 4-3 in that game with a couple minutes left. You pull Shelov. You got an extra attacker, and it was just a sweet goal. It was just an absolute sweet goal. And then that Sidney Crosby getting the game winner in overtime, another sweet goal. They've been playing very good. They've been playing very good lately, and I'm hoping they can keep this streak going. You're facing a pretty good Devils team coming in. I mean, 22-19, 2 in I think what is it 22-19 and 2 is what they are sitting at right now. So not too much difference. I mean, a little bit of a difference, but hopefully they can stretch it out to 6. I'm hoping so. But yeah, so good stuff there. All right, let's move on. Let's talk a little Pirate baseball because I know lots happened since we've last talked. Key acquisitions. You got a couple bats. Trace, what did you think about what they did thus far?
They got what, one arm as a reliever, two bats that are known at least power guys, right? And then they have potential for Griffin, is it, to come up as well?
Yeah. You got Brandon Lowe acquired with that three team trade: Tampa Bay, Houston
He's
Astros.
an outfielder, first baseman, right?
He's a second baseman.
Sorry.
O'Hearn, who was in the organization before. He's a first baseman outfielder. That's who you're thinking of. Left-handed power bat. Signed Gregory Soto to 1 year. You got Jake Magnum, Mason Montgomery. I don't know. Does this push them over the needle? I don't think so. I think you're still missing about 2 bats, if you ask me.
Well, who's playing short?
Is this an Abbott? You want to do an Abbott and Costello type thing?
Well, right now it'd be Nick Gonzalez is the only odd man out, right? Unless you get Triolo and put him over there. Who's on first?
Yeah. No, who's on second? I believe. No, but yeah. I mean, it's just. I'm going to be honest with you. Like, I haven't really been paying attention to the Pirates. I mean, I saw some of these signings. I was listening to the fan last week, and they wanted people to call in and say, which team do you think is going to win a championship? Which team is the next to win a championship? People are calling in saying the Pirates. I'm like, are you out of your mind? Like no, they're not going to be the next team to win a championship. Okay, like this team, no, it's just not going to happen. I mean, I just don't know. Some of these people in this town, and I mean, I don't mean to be too critical, but some of these people in this town, they see like a couple moves by the Pirates, and automatically they're saying, "Oh, they're going to win the pennant next year." No, like understand that when you line the Pirates up next to the Dodgers and some of these other power teams, we're still like three good bats away. Okay, we're still like 3 or 4 good. It's more needs to be done. Okay, just signing a couple bats is not going to get it done. It's not going to push it over the finish line.
The only hope that could be there, though, Billy, is those couple bats we add, right? Maybe that's the 3-4 hitters, right? Maybe that takes some pressure off of O'Neal Cruz and I don't know whoever our catcher, right?
Yeah.
Maybe then on the back end we have guys that are hitting home runs now because they're getting pitched to finally.
Yeah. Okay, we got a comment here. It says, Georgie Coolboy, I'm a true Ravens fan. Well, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. Sorry about that kick, man. That field or something got it.
Yeah. It says, I'm mad. Well, you should be mad. You should be
I would be too. I'd be very disappointed.
I'd be mad if I was a Ravens fan too. So that's it. That's all you got? Okay. Let's talk Pitt football. And then we got John Phillips in the back here in the backstage. I want to bring him in, talk about this Post-Gazette debacle or whatever. I don't even know what do you call it. I mean, I don't even know what you call it. But real quick, Pitt lost to East Carolina in the Military Bowl, 23-17. What'd you think? And the offense struggled mightily. Just I thought I thought Heinz Scholl, he had he had that 22-yard pass to Williams. But they just were inconsistent. They were inconsistent. They committed a lot of crucial errors, including 4 fumbles and an interception. How are you going to win when you fumble the ball, when you have 5 turnovers? Tell me. I'm
I think if
sorry.
they
Hey,
can do
buddy.
under that.
He said, "You're cool. I'm sorry. Hey, you don't have to be sorry about anything.
Right,
You're a
man.
Ravens fan. We don't mind. If you're a Ravens fan, it's fine. It's fine." So yeah, you were saying about you're mad. I would be mad too. It was a it was you guys had a rough year. You had a lot of injuries and things like that, and it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, what'd you think? I mean it was 5 turnovers. Enough said. I mean,
Nobody's
you
gonna
really
ever. No team can overcome that. It's
correct,
improbable.
right? When you look at it too, they didn't really make a lot of adjustments coming out of halftime. East Carolina, they get the ball, they throw a 47-yard touchdown pass in the first play, and that was it. That it was just they they didn't look back from there. So Heinz also had 256 passing yards. Turner had 93 rushing yards. I thought Biles had a good game. But that was about it. 8-5. Listen, I thought it was better. I thought an 8-5 record exceeded my expectations this year. But you know what? Here's the harsh reality, folks. Pat Narduzzi is still 2-6 in bowls. That's a harsh reality.
Well, 2 games he kind of let us down, right? The West Virginia game and the bowl game.
Yeah. He says, "How are you and your buddy? We're doing great. I hope you're doing well as well. Congratulations, though. We appreciate it. Thank you." See, I'm sorry, I missed that. Go ahead, Trace. What were you saying?
No, like you said, Billy.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. All right. We're gonna bring
What were we
John
talking
Phillips
about?
in here. We were talking about the military bowl, for Christ's sake.
Well, no, what I was saying there, Bill, is Narduzzi. Really, I think the bad taste in the fans' mouth will be the West Virginia game and this bowl game. Right?
Well, in Louisville too. But I agree. West Virginia and Louisville, he let his emotions get in the way of coaching, and he has a problem with that. Okay, he has a problem with that. Don't care what anybody else says. He's got a problem with letting his emotions get in the way of game planning and coaching. And that's all I'm going to say about that. All right, let's bring John Phillips in here, talk about this Post-Gazette. And then what else do we have to talk about? Pitt basketball, let's just not even go there right now. So, John, how are you doing this evening, brother?
I want to hang out with Tracy one night. That's all I know. Okay, Bill, I've had 16 weeks of you. I've had enough. Tracy, get down to the North Park Lounge on Monday. We're going to get rid of Bill. We'll hang out. It'll be good. I'm stuck in this hotel, this awful hotel in the middle of nowhere, South Bend, Indiana. I have no idea what I'm facing tomorrow for work. But you know what? The Post-Gazette will be no more on May 3rd. It's such a sad day. It really is.
You know what, John? I cannot believe. It was funny because you called me today and told me the news. I didn't even know. I'm in Giant Eagle shopping with my wife. I'm in the bakery section. You call me and I said, "What?" And I literally, the women, at Giant Eagle working in the bakery section looked at me like I had lobsters crawling out of my ears. I just could not believe it. I mean, it's just, you and I, we both write for the Riverhounds. We know, and we have a lot of people we know that work at the Post-Gazette. A friend of the show, Ray Fittipaldo, comes on quite frequently. He writes for them. Our counterpart with Steel City Sunday, Paul Zeiss, writes for them. Our other guy that we work with on the Riverhounds, Keith Barnes. I mean, this is just a real kick to the gut to a lot of people that we know in this business, and I'm just shocked. I'm literally shocked. I mean, you saw, the financial losses. They're saying 350 million over 20 years. John, what do you really think it boils down to? Because I know about this whole lawsuit too with the paying the health care. And they lost that, and I don't, maybe that compounded things. But what do you think this really came down to?
It did, and I did Paul's Post-Gazette big show at 5 o'clock. He asked me to come on for about 20 minutes. We didn't talk about obviously what happened today. We talked about sports topics and whatnot. But yeah, it came down to the union wanting X, Y, and Z. It came down to healthcare, and look, at 56. I've watched the internet come and become what it is. It's like almost 30 years now. I mean, I remember graduating from college in 1993, and one of our alum from Edinburgh came in. He probably was, 6, 7 years older than us. This is 1993. And he was like, there's going to be this thing called the internet, and you're going to be amazed. And we were like, oh, wow. And, 5 years later, I'm over on Ardmore Boulevard doing evenings, and we just got email, and the internet was starting to become a thing. And now here we are almost 30 years later, and the internet has completely destroyed the print business. It'll eventually replace television's coming. Eventually TV is going to fall the way of what the news media, the print media has suffered under. But yeah, the whole lawsuit, the union, the wages, paying for healthcare. It was eventually the demise of, our paper of record.
Right.
Our paper of record for almost 200 years has been the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. And as a child, I remember getting up on Sunday mornings, more or less, when I was a little kid, 7, 8, 9 years old, and, looking at the box scores, looking at the, what I learned to become known as the ag page, with all the numbers and all the box scores and all the horse racing results, and the betting lines, and anything that was on the ag page was interesting to me, because I didn't quite understand it, but I knew it was important, because they wouldn't have put it in print, right? Print media 40, 45, 50 years ago was our world. It was the zenith of journalism, and in the media, it was, if you were working for a newspaper, you were an important person. You were extremely important. It was newspapers 40 years ago, 45 years ago. It was newspapers, television, and then radio. Radio was at the bottom. And even though I was attracted to radio, and I understood, my attraction to radio was just the whole, audio spectrum of it and what drew me in. But if you were working for a newspaper, you were important. You were respected. You were somebody that people wanted to hear what you had to say about whatever it was, news or sports or whatever. If you were in print, you were an important person. And the fact that our paper of record come May 3rd is going to go away potentially, and it may not go away. Maybe more on that in a little bit, but if it does go away, it'll mark the end of mark the end of an incredible era of a medium that was once the most important aspect of daily life, but has gone the way of the dodo bird.
Well, and I too read the Gazette religiously. I mean, I remember reading articles by Gene Collier, articles by Ed Bouchette. I loved his Steeler coverage. Paul has worked, for the Gazette for a number of years. It's just sad. It's really sad. Is it potentially an option for somebody maybe to buy them? I mean,
great question. The Beaver County Times got purchased a few years ago by a consortium of sorts. I talked to, Paul, obviously, today. I talked to a couple of other people that work at the PG today. There's a possibility that it could be bought and saved, right? It's a good tax write-off for somebody that, has a big portfolio that they'd like to, put some tax write-off onto. So maybe it's possible that the PG continues to fight for another day. But, as you mentioned, you grew up reading these writers. I worked for two guys that were important figures at the Post-Gazette for many, many years. I worked with Bruce Kyden. Bruce Kyden was he was a hammer. He was a hammer. That guy was a columnist for the Post-Gazette for 20 plus years. He also ran Dapper Dan Charities. which was a role he took extremely seriously. Bruce was a very proud journalist, and he beat the living tar out of me for about a year and a half before I eventually moved on in my career. But I'm very grateful that I spent time with that man, because what he taught me was that it doesn't matter what you're working towards. You have to work towards the truth and facts. And before you tell anybody a story, you better make sure you have everything right. And it's not about getting it first. It's about getting it right and being certain you have a story that is accurate. And in 1994, when baseball was going through its strike, I worked with Bruce. He was, he was doing talk radio, and there was something that he wanted me to get for him, and I couldn't get to the bottom of it, but I felt like I had it, and he was not happy with me because I didn't get exactly what he felt was the accuracy of the story, and he reprimanded me. He beat me up. He was very angry at me because I was trying to tell him to, hey, say this. This is the story. And he kept saying to me, do you have this or this? And I didn't answer him, but because I didn't have it. And he wouldn't go with the story that I wanted him to go with because I didn't have it right. And I learned from Bruce, and that was important. The other person was Phil Music, which you probably don't remember. Phil covered. Yeah. Okay, so Phil covered the Steelers in their 70s run, and Phil was a talk show host, and I worked under Phil, and he was another one. He was just a journalist through and through, and I've worked with Tom McMillan, and I've worked with Eddie Boo, and a bunch of the others, and obviously Ron Cook over at the Fan. Journalism is not dead, but it suffered a blow today here in our city.
Yeah. Phil Music, it's funny because his brother lived in this area and used to come in our dry cleaners. My dad had a dry cleaners. He was a weekly customer. Yeah, he was a weekly customer, his brother. Yep. So
I miss Phil. I miss Phil greatly. I learned from him. He was very good to me when he didn't have to be. I got my break on Ardmore Boulevard in 1997 when they went all sports because of Phil Music. And he lost his job, but he helped me get my job over there as a talk show host. And I know he's long gone. And
he covered the Pirates, right?
Yeah, well, he covered the Steelers as well, but he covered the Steelers in the late 70s, and he was just a good human being, and he was another one of those guys that get the story right, make sure you have what you need, make sure what you're doing is accurate, and I'm very grateful that I worked under both of those individuals, and I learned a great deal from both of them.
Yeah, I mean, this whole court ruling, they said it was forcing them to operate under unfavorable conditions in these labor contracts, and it made the operation unsustainable from what they're saying. And then you have the declining readership and ad revenue as a result of it. They're saying, as I stated earlier, 20 years, $350 million they've lost. And like I said, compounded by this labor dispute that has been going on and that they recently lost in the Supreme Court. It's sad. It really is sad.
Well, the market dictates what is wanted and what is not now. You know what I mean? I mean, it's always been that way. But since the turn of the new millennium, we're in a different era. We're now in the era of news now. We're in the era of social media. You've got the influencers that are out there. A newspaper is a dated business, and television is going to be the same way, and radio is almost the same way as well. It's all going to be digital. It's all going to be online I anticipate within the next 10 years, with the exception of a handful of major newspapers in the biggest cities where somebody's still buying them. And even that won't last very long. We'll see most newspapers go out of business. radio stations will all be online. They'll all be streaming to some capacity, and we're just heading in that direction. We really are.
Well, and I said it was funny. We're coming out of Giant Eagle, and my wife's like asking me questions about this, and she says, well, "Why do you think this is? Why do you?" And I said, "Well, people like accessibility, right? We do these podcasts, right? People like to be able to get a podcast, put it on when they're cleaning the house, put it on when they're driving. It's at their fingertips when they want it, right? Whenever they want it, wherever they want it, it's at their fingertips.
Yeah, well,
People
anybody
don't like
40
sitting down and reading newspapers. Even online, they don't want, they want to hear stuff. They want to be able to multitask. And I don't know. It's just
anybody 45 and under, 40 and under for sure. Once they get their news from TikTok. Right. They see a blurb or a 30-second clip. They see a headline, and that's all they need to read because they're too busy because they've got to get to a Pilates class or Tracy's, double park, and they're wondering when he's going to pull out of and say, give him a space. And we're in this on the go society now. And I'm not saying that's good. Because I get, when I send a newspaper article to the, Trib, and they're like, this is too wordy, 800-900 words is too wordy. Right. People want 500 words almost maybe is too much. Long form writing is dying. Print is dead. Radio and TV aren't too far behind, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, I write, as I write for Stream Punk Sports and, for the Riverhounds, and it's the same thing. 2-minute read, 2 to 3 minute read, they want. And that's fine, but it's just like you said, all this stuff culminates. And this is 1786. It's one of America's oldest newspapers, and it's just I hope that somebody can buy them and save it because like I said, we have friends that are employees there, and you just really hate to see them lose their livelihoods. I'm sure some of them will move on to greater and better things, but it's just really and the union criticized them. They said, hey, this company chose to do this. They chose to shut down rather than complying with these labor laws. So I don't know,
Look, my uncle was in a union. My father was in a union. I'm not against unions. I'm not on either side of all of this. I just know that a newspaper that's been around for over 200 plus years in our region is potentially going to close its doors on May 3rd. And that's a very sad day because it is our newspaper of record. And that may not mean much to anybody that's, again, I'm 56. You may be 40, 30 watching this right now, 25 years old. That may not mean anything to you. But journalism suffered a blow today, and it's very sad that the PG may close its doors in a few months.
Yeah, it is sad. All right, John, on a happier note, plug the shows, what we got coming up here.
Monday, 3 p.m., North Park Lounge, Richland Hilltop Event Center. Tracy, I know you're going to be there because if you aren't, Bill's going to, and I'm going to be very sad. I'm just kidding, Bill. Steel City Sunday, 3 o'clock, 5 hours of coverage, Texans and Steelers. So many guests, you may have to get a pitchfork and bury a few of the ones that start early to get to the top. We're going to have so much fun on Monday. I'm excited. And, look, what win or lose, the season was the season. I didn't expect a division title. I didn't expect Aaron Rodgers to play as well as he does. Let's run it back one more year.
Sounds good. Well, on that note, thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll talk to you next week. We've got Gridiron Weekly coming in tomorrow night. So that's at 8 p.m. So tune in for that. And thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next week.
See you later.